so pale. Hand on the moon and take you traveling the world. But I can love you. Yeah, I'm gonna love you. I'll give you all of what I've got. The fancy finds, baby, I have not.
So I've come to a place called Bremanger, and I've just quickly come up onto the top of a mountain here. Sunset at the moment, and this is absolutely great light shining on the mountain here in the background. The sun has gone down behind that mountain there, and you got the fjord in the background. Would have been nicer if the sun was a little bit on the tip there, but otherwise I think I'll focus on getting that mountain there first. So I'm shooting this shot with my 24-70. I've got it set to around 50mm at the moment. I'm going to shoot this at 320th of a second at f8. I want to use f8 because there's quite a lot of detail on the mountain right now. There's a lot of good shadows, there's a lot of good highlights, but I also want to bring down the highlights enough to make sure I still get the detail in those highlights. But with it being a little bit dark at the same time, I've got my ISO set to 320, which will still maintain a lot of the detail in the shadows as well. And at the moment the sky is completely clear, so I'm going to be trying to not get as much of the sky in as possible. There'll be a little bit of the sky that kind of runs off the side of the mountain, but otherwise I'm going to aim on getting a lot of the foreground in, and then mainly the mountain. The sun is pretty much gone, there's not much else to take photos of, apart from these sheep here. But otherwise I'll probably come up again tomorrow when there's better light, with the sun being behind the mountain there. All the mountains right now are just dark and there's not really any depth to the images, so I'd rather come back when there's a lot more light. So for now I'm just gonna relax, sleep a little bit tonight, and hope to get out again tomorrow. Okay, so I'm on a different hill here this morning. I was up there yesterday, but I actually wanted to get a view of that area now, so I've come basically almost onto the opposite side. At the moment I'm taking a couple of shots of this mountain here in the background where you see the shadow there, and basically I'm actually going to use the foreground here that's really close just to kind of add a bit of depth and a bit of difference here, because there's a lot of lights in the grass here in front of me and the mountain is still in almost complete shadow, and I think that could kind of create a really nice image. But the only problem I have is that with this part here being so close to me, I have to focus on that, take a shot of that, and then focus on the mountain and take a shot of the mountain, and then in post put them together, because otherwise I'll get the foreground in focus and the mountains just will be pretty much undetailed and quite blurred out. So the only way for me to do this is to take a photo of both and stitch them together. And I'm using my Sony 100-400mm for this. I got it set to around just below 200mm. And I got my settings at 1/500th of a second. It is pretty bright out here right now. I could go even higher, but I'm still trying to make sure I get the detail in the shadows. The highlights are not too blown out at the moment, which is good. I got it set at f8, which is a good enough f number to get a lot of detail in the foreground. So whatever I focus on in the foreground, pretty much all of it will be in focus, apart from the mountain in the background, because I'll be taking a separate exposure for that. And at f8 it should still be good enough. Even when I focus on the mountain, the whole mountain will be in focus at that point. There is a little bit of haze at the moment as well, but I can dial that down in post when I'm in Lightroom. So I've also managed to get my ISO down to 80, even though the native is 100, but putting it down to 80 allows me to drop my settings a little bit lower, and it is actually less grain in the image. So what I'm going to do right now is just take multiple exposures as the light changes and stuff, and you guys will see the photo that I ended up with. So this time around, things just haven't gone the way I'd like it to. The light just hasn't been great, really. It's too harsh, or it doesn't exist. Even though I'm in such a beautiful place, there's mountains just surrounding me, and I'd love to just take photos of everything, but I don't just want to take snapshots. I want to get photos with depth. I want to get photos with character, something with a bit of emotion, just to really show the power behind these mountains. But sometimes when the light just doesn't work, there's not much you can do about it. And in these times, you kind of have to plan a little bit better, but at the same time, I'm not here for long. It has been 2 days, and the light has changed in different ways. I probably should have got up a little bit earlier this morning. There was more clouds, which would have really helped, but that's just the way life is. You can't always control everything. You can't always do things the way you would like to. But either way, I still got 2 great shots. I managed to make a video out of it. Hopefully, next time things will work out a little bit better for me. So if you guys enjoyed this, please leave me a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.